Jimmy Carter passed away, former president of the United States, when you and I were lads. Mr. Carter came to assist in the cleanup of major nuclear accident near Ottawa in 1952. Now, we've mentioned this on the show before, and was, whoever mentioned it, the other person was surprised. I remember that. It was, this isn't talked about very often,
No, he did a heroic thing, and it didn't somehow affect his health. I mean, he exposed himself to radiation.
Maybe we should all be doing that, Brian.
That's the key to long life. But yeah, that was always an amazing story. But I mean, it happened so long, like he's so old, 1952, like that's such ancient history. But he absolutely helped clean up a major nuclear accident here in
People
Canada.
think that he went from peanut farmer to the White House. Not true. He was in the Navy, and he had a yellowed certificate issued in 1953 by the Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory in New York State, proclaiming Mr. Carter an atomic submariner. He was a naval officer at the time he received it, and he attended the U.S. Naval Academy from 43 to 46 on his way to becoming the first in his family to graduate from college, and served in the submarine fleet during World War II. And later he was involved in the development of the nation's first nuclear-powered submarines. The Knowles certificate was for completing his training in this, and on December 12th, 1952, a series of missteps and a mechanical failure led to the partial meltdown of the core of the NRX reactor at Chalk River Laboratories on the Ottawa River in Canada, about 180 kilometers northwest of the capital, Ottawa, Canada. The incident gave Canada the dubious distinction of hosting the world's first nuclear reactor accident. The NRX had a capacity of just 30 megawatts. That's not much. Not much at all. That's a small solar farm that day, which was powerful by the standards of its time. Today, the Bruce Power nuclear reactor in Ontario turns out 6,400 megawatts. On the day of the accident, the reactor was powered down for an inspection of its cooling system. In the basement, a worker mistakenly raised a few of the control rods that could be reduced and, if necessary, completely shut down their chain of reaction in the reactor. And that was spotted quickly, and a supervisor thought, based on some signal lights, that he had lowered the rods back in place. But the lights were wrong. 2 of the 3 of the rods were stuck and only had partly returned to safety. When the supervisor, who was still in the basement, phoned the control room with directions for lowering the rods, he also mixed up the numbers for the buttons that needed to be pushed, compounding the problem. The reactor's output soared to about 100 megawatts from 30, and that power surge lasted for only 1 minute and 8 seconds before the reactor was brought back under control. But the damage was profound. Fuel rods had melted or blown apart. The basement was filled with 1 million gallons of highly radioactive water and debris. The reactor building, which had large glass windows, was dangerously radioactive. A contingent of 150 members of the U.S. military came to Chalk River for the cleanup. Among them was Mr. Jimmy Carter, future President of the United States, who led a group of about 12 members of the Navy from the Knowles Laboratory, and they were joined by 862 workers at the Chalk River site, 170 members of the Canadian Army, and 20 employees of companies that had made parts of the reactor. And we have a link to that story in the New York Times. So, yeah, I think he went down for 90 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
Was brought back up, and then you take another turn of 90 seconds. So, yeah, that's a bit of history that even us Canadians don't hear about. That was the world's first nuclear accident.
Yeah, amazing.
Join the Clean Energy Show's Clean Club with a YouTube channel membership or on Patreon and support our weekly climate programming. Get early access to all our videos and podcasts, as well as members-only bonus content, Discord server access, and a monthly bonus podcast from Brian and James. The Clean Energy Show is released every week wherever you get audio, as well as YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.